Hello and welcome to Market Views. I'm Faith Glasgow and with me here today is Matthew Smith, Managing Director of Buckingham Chartered Financial Planners. Welcome, Matt.
Hi Faith, thanks for having me.
Now you've talked to many people over the years about the value of lifetime cash flow modelling. Could you explain what it is?
Yeah, sure. A cash flow model, broadly speaking, is where we use a sophisticated piece of financial software to really visualise what a client's financial future might look like. We start off with what we call the base plan, which is really just a projection forward of the client's current circumstances. So if they do nothing, they make no changes, that's what their financial future will pan out to look like. Following on from that, we can then model various what-if scenarios. So for example, the client might want to know how would their finances look if they wanted to retire 2 years early. Or on the flip side, slightly more morbidly, we could, for example, look at what would happen if a family member were to pass away. What would be the impact on the family's finances after that?
And why exactly is it so important?
I think for clients it really allows them to visualise the impact of their financial decisions, whereas a lot of financial planning is done without that type of foresight. So, for example, we might recommend an additional pension contribution, for example, which might sound small in the context of the client's expenditure, but when we project that forward 30 or 40 years, can actually make a huge difference to their overall retirement picture.
Could you show us an example of how it works?
Yeah, of course, I'll show you now.
Okay, so what we have here is the base plan for James and Sandra. And what this is illustrating is their current position as we know it today. So this is based on their current assets and liabilities, and we're not making any assumptions about future investments or anything like that at the moment. What we see on the graph is the blue area represents years during which James and Sandra have sufficient income or capital to meet their desired level of expenditure. And that's represented by the black line on the graph, as you see here. The purple line is designed to represent their minimum required level of expenditure, and that would take into account things like food, electricity, gas, etc. Down the bottom of the graph we see the various ages of James and Sandra as the plan moves forward, and at the moment we're forecasting all the way until Sandra's 90th birthday. So at the moment, as you can see, the couple have a substantial shortfall in income or capital as of James's 82nd birthday. And the couple have asked us to explore various ways that we could look to address that shortfall. One of the most immediate things that we could look to do for the couple is take some of the excess income that they have during their working years and invest that so that they can use it during their retirement. So we explore this using what's called a what-if plan, and it's just exploring the various options and scenarios that the couple might choose to explore. So let's see what happens if the couple save all of their excess income that they don't require during their working years and they put it towards their retirement needs. Well, as you can see, the couple would now have sufficient income all the way up until James's 90th birthday. However, that's not quite sufficient because they'd like to make sure that Sandra could reach the age of 90 with sufficient income as well. So another thing we're going to explore is what would happen if we invested the tax-free cash that the couple receive from their pension. As you can see, on James's 60th birthday, he's going to receive a substantial lump sum from his pension policy, and they don't need all of that money to meet their income requirements in that particular year. So let's see what happens if we invested that additional money. And as you can see, that would give the couple sufficient income all the way up until Sandra's 90th birthday. Now, typically, not being satisfied with that, the clients would now like to see how long their money would last based on these two assumptions that we've made. So we're going to project forward and assume that both of them live until the age of 95. And under those circumstances, as we can see, their money would last approximately until James's 93rd birthday. If we wanted to go further, we could explore some other what-if scenarios, such as a more aggressive investment strategy, or the couple could consider reducing their level of expenditure to meet the shortfalls we see here.
What's the biggest mistake people tend to make when they don't plan ahead?
I think it sort of falls into two categories almost, and for the majority of clients we'll establish that they either have too much or too little money broadly speaking, when they die. Sounds a little bit morbid, but those both present very different planning opportunities. If we identify that there's going to be a shortfall in a client's retirement income, of course, while they're still working, we're in a position to put something in place to correct those shortfalls. On the flip side, we find that a lot of clients actually have too much money, and chances are they're going to leave behind an estate which is larger than it needs to be. And that presents us with various inheritance tax and estate planning opportunities to potentially start gifting money to the client's children, for example, and reducing that potential inheritance tax liability.
Are people often surprised when you show them the forecast?
Yes, almost always. And again, it'd be one of those two scenarios. So, it might be that a client thought they were slightly better off than they perhaps were, or vice versa. Many clients are surprised with how much money they're actually forecast to have, and really how much money they've got in excess of what their needs are.
Well, Matt, thank you very much for explaining that to us. Time to start planning, I guess.
Indeed, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.